Sounds like an awesome project. I am right there with you in the belief that the this ecosystem definitely can grow and there's a lot of opportunity for it. And I'm certainly happy to have this conversation and share my thoughts, but also keep up with you and see where I can help because we're building embedded systems on the continent. I mean, this is something that's definitely near and dear to my heart. It's not something, obviously, I'm in California, and so we are looking to, we have a distributed team where we have folks who are outside of Nigeria, but then we definitely do have a team in Nigeria. And one of the things that I'm actually really focused on now is building the embedded team specifically in Nigeria, not hiring any further engineers for that team outside of Nigeria because of how important it is to be hands-on with our product, right? You can't really sell to, a homeowner or a bank or somebody like that in Nigeria and think, oh, my product's going to work really well if all the engineers are sitting somewhere outside of Nigeria and not actually able to get in there and work on that and see the context and see the hardware actually, in its final end use. So I think it's a big opportunity. So yeah, very happy to talk more about it and to support you in any way I can. So my name is Cole Stites Clayton, and I'm one of the co-founders and the CTO of SHYFT Power Solutions. And SHYFT Power Solutions is a seed stage energy technology company. We are a global company operating between the United States and Nigeria with a focus on building energy management products for the Nigerian and, as we expand the sub-Saharan African market. Really, what we're all about is bringing remote intelligence to energy systems, allowing our users to monitor, manage, and control their energy systems through the use of smart IoT hardware and software programs that we integrate alongside those hardware systems. And what we've done so far today is actually release two different platforms into the Nigerian market. One is what we call SHYFT Connect, which is an asset management platform. It's really geared towards understanding how to operate and bring the most efficiency and value that you can to energy production systems. So, of course, in Nigeria, energy infrastructure is often a big challenge, and people struggle to get reliable power, which means they're forced to turn to all different kinds of energy sources and increasingly hybrid systems that include some use of a utility grid connection, a backup diesel genset, solar, and batteries, all as part of that solution, which makes energy supply a very complicated picture. So the Shift Connect platform is all about connecting and intelligently managing those assets so that you can really get the value out of that full hybrid system. And more recently, Shift has also released a platform called FlexView, Shift FlexView, which is really the complement to this kind of asset production management in the sense that it handles energy distribution and metering and billing to clients. So after you've produced that energy, whether it's come out of a solar panel or come out of a battery or a genset, and you're then transmitting it, somewhere to an end user, maybe that's a shop owner in a shopping mall or a resident in an apartment complex or a residential development. Somebody needs to know, where is that energy going, who's paying for it, how much are they paying, and those users need to know, how much am I using? So FlexView is an integrated system that allows people who are providing power and people who are consuming power to have a transparent and intelligent system for metering and billing, where everybody can see who's using how much and how much do I owe, and you can pay for your energy right there in the app through that smart metering system. So that's where Shift is today. We're really excited about the traction that we've had so far with both of these products launched early into the market, and growing with customers right now, and seeing where we can go to kind of help spur this change in energy infrastructure through the use of these smart IoT platforms that can really give us better management over them. So the Shift Connect platform is something that can be used by almost anybody because, as I'm sure you're familiar, almost anybody could have to manage their own generator set or inverter or solar array. So there are tools that we've developed that are suitable, for the homeowner or a business owner. But we basically go up to working with um, typically commercial properties or independent power producers at times or people who are providing energy or power as a service as their core business model. So folks anybody who needs to operate a hybrid system. And so again, that could be a homeowner who says, well, I want to get solar to save cost and I need help operating my own system. But it can also be companies who are deploying these assets. Maybe they, bring a solar array, a battery bank, a generator to a site, and then they sell that energy to an end user, right? Maybe it's a grocery store or a factory, and they're providing the power to that facility, and they would use SHYFT Connect as a platform to make sure that their assets are up and running, always operating. If there's any faults or issues, they can see that in real time to make sure that all of that is running smoothly to deliver the right optimized kind of energy supply. I'll jump back to the beginning of our company, and certainly a lot of this has to do with my co-founder, Ugwem Aneo, who's our CEO, who herself is Nigerian and grew up between Nigeria and the United States. She and I met when we were both in graduate school at Stanford here in California. And really, it was through her introduction to the Nigerian ecosystem that I first became aware of really the stark energy infrastructure challenges facing Nigeria and really facing the continent more broadly when it comes to the trends of urbanization and population growth and just infrastructure not keeping up with that at all, right? And we were, working on research. My background had been in, renewable energy systems, looking at ways, especially internationally, that we could deploy solar. But I had not yet done any work in Africa on the continent, and in working with Ugum a bit on some research projects, I really we saw together that this is a huge opportunity that not only is, something that really requires new thinking about how, you can actually bring clean energy into the picture to solve this infrastructure gap, but also represents this, big step forward in saying if you can show how IoT, how smart technology can really come into the picture and play a key role in managing this new kind of grid, right, with distributed energy resources. If you can digitize those, all of those assets that are spread out across a city, you're actually taking this big leapfrog forward in the way that we think about grid infrastructure. And we saw, the picture in Nigeria as this really interesting, it's an interesting environment to work on that because you already have so much distributed energy assets out there in the world. You already have all of these generators. You already have a system where people do supply power for themselves. So in some way, it was almost more advanced than the kind of grids that we see, in Western Europe or in the United States, where the big question is, how do we go from centralized infrastructure to a distributed model? And instead, it was like, well, we have a distributed model here. It's just not clean enough, right? How do we make sure that people don't have to keep spending so many naira every month on their diesel bill, but we can get them more reliable and affordable power with these clean energy resources? So, it's kind of both this idea that, yeah, there's a big challenge, a big need. Obviously, you have to develop a lot more energy infrastructure to help industry grow, to help businesses thrive, right? Just to support the growing economy and to support, kind of the quality of life that people want. But you also have this big opportunity to really showcase what the technology can do in this very interesting environment with this distributed model already. So that was really exciting, very compelling to us. And through the research that we were doing at Stanford, it was clear that we wanted to really dive into it and start the company based around that idea. So I'll talk about infrastructure challenges a little bit first. I think when it comes to the infrastructure challenges in Nigeria, it's something that it really isn't that unique, I would say, to any other product development process. You just have to be very aware that you need to understand the conditions that you're building your product for, what the requirements are, what it is that you really need to design for as you think about who's using this product, what are you going to create, how are they going to use it. That's all stuff that anybody building a product should be thinking about. I think the key thing is you have to think about that in the market you're going to sell into. And we've seen so many times, and it continues to be a problem, that the only products available to try to solve the challenges in Nigeria come from people who have designed them elsewhere. And they haven't necessarily actually said, okay, this is going to be a product for Nigeria. They've said, okay, well, we're building this product, and then, oh, yeah, we'll make it available. And now it's the only thing on the market. So it's the only place to turn to. We definitely early on said, okay, if this product, if the market, if we're thinking the primary market for this product is Nigeria, well, we better be there, understanding the product requirements there from the very beginning. And so what you quickly start to learn is there are certain things that you take for granted if you're building your product in California that you cannot take for granted in Nigeria. Power would be the very first one. Around here, you think, well, if you want to have a I don't know, you want to have a hotspot for your internet. Okay, you'll just plug it into the wall. That will give you stable power. Not so in Nigeria, right? Of course, you have to think about, do I need battery backup? Do I need a separate system? If somebody's changing their power source from one to another, what's going to happen to my product? How is it going to be powered? So all of this stuff is not unique, but I think, in terms of the thinking process, but you have to apply that process to the context that you're going to be in and tackle those challenges. And so I think power certainly, becomes a big focus in development. Connectivity, there's challenges with connectivity, even mobile telco stations, they can go down. So what happens when that happens? What happens if your user who has an app, loses their connectivity in the middle of trying to use your product? Do they lose all of their information? So you have to think about all of these things, put that front and center in your product design process to make sure that what comes out the other end is really suitable for that environment. And you mentioned earlier some things about environment, temperature, sunshine, rainstorms, thunderstorms that are going to bring lightning. All of that has to go into thinking about this. I can tell one particular story about surge protection, which is something that, our hardware products, they are, operating with, mains electricity voltage, and they interface with the electricity grid. And so surge protection is something that you think about. And when we went to work with some electrical consultants and we were designing our system, we went to them and we said, look, you guys know about surge. This is something you build, but I'm here to tell you that when you think about the protection level that we want on this system, I want you to think about, the most robust system. I want you to think those, once in a lifetime events that could happen to a device, right? Let's imagine they're happening regularly to, in this context, because we know that that's the kind of thing that happens. You have voltages that are going up and down on the grid. And so you just have to be clear up front. Yep, that's the scenario that we're designing for, and get that into your process. So, when you do that, if you're clear-eyed about it, then, it becomes like any other product development, complicated, challenging, but, you put the pieces in place to solve for those problems. That was a long answer on infrastructure, so I'll switch gears over to human resources. I think this is an area that I wouldn't say we've had big challenges with, but I think, you and I having this conversation is a signal about how much more opportunity there is to keep developing folks, particularly in the embedded space. I think that, we've hired a few embedded engineers onto our team. They've been amazing. What I've definitely noticed about them is that they're up for a challenge. They're people who have said, you know what, this is harder. This is a little bit, it's going to take a little bit more for me to get the skills and get involved in this kind of work, but I'm passionate about it. So, I'm going to do it. I'm going to make sure that I can find a way, and that gives them some grit. And I love that, seeing that in people. And I think that's common to Nigerians. I think, folks who want to learn, find ways to learn, and, get themselves into an opportunity to keep building those skills. And I think that's something that's really common. And it just is probably much more focused on software right now, where people are putting that attention. What I would say about the embedded space is that I think, when it comes to the opportunities, they're going to continue to grow. We see the IoT market continuing to grow, more and more opportunities to build these systems that almost act like software, more and more platforms and modules that help make this process easier. And I think a growing recognition that to solve real problems, especially in places that have these infrastructure challenges, you do need something physical working in that system, right? I mean, we're talking about energy. You need physical sensors. You need something. You need actuators. You need switches. You need relays. You need things to actually be there to take effect in the world. And so that's hardware, and so that's embedded. And so I think for people who really want to work on those challenges, it's actually a perfect place to be. And I think more and more opportunities coming there for people to be able to do that. So I would say, so far we haven't had issues. We found great folks to join the team, but I would definitely love to see even more people kind of coming into that space and seeing the opportunity that's available there. So our system uses STM microcontroller with cellular connectivity to the cloud. We've done what we can to basically integrate an IoT cloud platform to allow our interface between the hardware and our cloud software backend to be as seamless as possible, to make our development kind of as streamlined as we can. And so basically it's that cellular connection, I think, that forms kind of the main thing that we focus on in terms of bringing that intelligence to our devices. I can speak a little bit as well to, we have a couple of different products that we actually deploy. One of those is kind of a larger, like, industrial IoT solution. It's called the SHYFT Smart Transfer Switch. And that's actually a drop-in replacement for an automatic transfer switch or changeover switch. It actually operates an energy system, switching over different power sources. So that involves a lot of interfacing with kind of high voltage, mains voltage electricity, actually changing power sources and switching things over and sensing the availability of different power lines. So in addition to kind of the connectivity management, we work with that kind of electrical system, essentially. But then we also have some accessory products that are more focused around communications. So working with Modbus protocols, data communication to other devices. And so kind of a whole range of different elements across our products. But at the core of it all definitely sits bringing that data connection, bringing that intelligence through our cellular modem to each product. So we do a mixture. For some components that exist out off the shelf, and we say that's going to work just fine for the product requirements we have, we'll go ahead and use that. No need to reinvent the wheel when we don't have to. So we do purchase some components, but we have designed our own printed circuit boards, gone through certification testing on them, and all this bring up testing and setting up our own lines for particular parts of those products, where when we looked at the market, we said, well, there really is no solution that exactly maps onto what we need here to solve this problem. And so a great example of that is that smart transfer switch product, where we were really looking for a solution that brought these different elements together to form this product, and we couldn't find it. So we said, well, let's just go ahead and jump in and build that ourselves. And that was one of the first custom PCB builds that we put together.